Hello, today I'm going to be sharing with you how to cut and sew this trendy corset dress with a double flay. If you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button. Let's dive right into today's video. So first, I've cut out all the bra cup that I need. This is actually a 3-part corset, and when arranging your cup, you have to be very careful. So you have to note the part that is going for each part of the cup. So I'm going to go ahead to select it, both the lining and both the main fabric. After opening the first cup, I'm going to go ahead and open the second one. Make sure that it is matching. So I went ahead to also notch it. So the same process I'm taking for the main fabric, I'm also going to repeat it on the lining part also. So after placing that, so now I'll go ahead and unpin this part, which is the upper part of the cup, and I'm going to go ahead to place it. So you want to make sure that you're placing it on the right part so that you don't mistakenly join the wrong part to it also. So after, I'll repeat the same process also for my cup. So I am placing the main pattern on it so that I don't even get confused while I'm placing mine. So now the next step is to go ahead and I'll join the cup with 1/2 inch. So you can go ahead and iron stay on your fabric, and I'll place this and stitch with 1/2 inch. Also on this part, I'll repeat the same process. So now after I'm done sewing, this is what I have for my cup and for the main fabric. On the lining part, I iron gum stay. So on the cup, I'll be creating a 3 inches dart on both of them, and my cup size is 33. I'm using 34. So if your cup size is 34, you can use 36. So after that, we'll be stitching it down. So there are several ways of attaching cup to a corset. So you can go ahead and use your hemming gum, or you can stitch on the lower part of it. So now I'm just going to go ahead to use pin to hold it down, and after holding it down, I'm going to go ahead to stitch it with 1/2 inch. But I'm going to go ahead and use pin so that I'm going to hold it down properly before I head over to the sewing machine, and I'll stitch with 1/2 inch at the lower part, and I'll also repeat it at the other side. So now I'm done stitching my cup. This is what I have at this point, and next we'll be creating the boning channel for the lower part of the dress. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark out where I want to create the boning channel. So we have about 7 on this dress, but I will be making 6 on mine. So remember to make your boning channels at the back of your dress. So now I cut out about 2 inches and I measured the length. So you're going to stitch with 1/2, fold it over and stitch again. On the other side, you're going to place stitch and then fold over and top stitch on it. You're going to continue with that process until you're done creating all the boning channels for this dress. I'm done creating my boning channels, and this is what I have. I have about 5 on it. The next step is to go ahead to attach my cup, and I'll fold it over this way, give it a notch here, and I will repeat the same process at the other side. Fold, and I'm going to go ahead to give a notch. So now I'm going to place my cup. So after placing my cup, I'm going to be using my pin to hold it down. So when you're placing your cup, please don't mistaken the other part for the wrong side. So I'm just going to go ahead to start pinning. So that joining you have on the cup, you're going to place it on the notched part, and you're going to place to the end, and you're going to be pinning it with your pin. To pin it with your pin makes it easier for a beginner to join the cup. So after I'm done pinning it, I'm going to be stitching with 1/2 inch at from the inside part of the cup. So I'll stitch with 1/2 inch, and after I'm done stitching, this is what I have, and this is what my cup is looking like. Now we are going to repeat the same process for this other side of the cup, and you're also going to repeat it on your lining piece. So place the joining at the center pin and stitch with 1/2 inch. So I'm done stitching on my cup, and this is what I have. It is looking very neat, and I'll go ahead to iron this out with my tailor's ham. So there's no source of light here. I'll be doing it inside. I'll go ahead to iron it and iron the body. So now this is the strip of fabric I cut out for the hand. So remember, when we are drafting out the pattern, we measured what we had from our chest line to the cup part of the corset, which is about 6.8 or so, and from the back we have our shoulder to chest line, which is 7 inches. So I added that 6.8 plus 7 and added 1 inch. That's half for joining in front and half for joining at the lower part of the dress, making the sleeve roughly 15 inches. So I'm going to go ahead to fold it with half and I'll attach it to the cup when I'm done stitching. So here I'm done sewing and I'm going to go ahead and attach the strap to the dress this way, and I'm going to be stitching with 1/2 inch. After attaching on this side, I'm going to go over to also attach on the other side, and I'm going to pin and top stitch on it. So after I'm done joining, the next step is to go ahead to place the lining on it, and the same way I joined my cup to the fabric is the same way I joined my lining. So I'm just going to place it and I'm going to be pinning it round, and after I'm done doing that, I'll go ahead to stitch it on the sewing machine. So now I've gone ahead to pin it, so I'll go ahead to stitch by the side at the upper part and at the other side also, and I'll go ahead to notch it. After I'm done sewing, this is what I have, and this is what my dress is looking like. After this, the next step is to go ahead to introduce the boning of the dress. So for the boning of the dress, I went ahead to cut it out, and at the lower part, if you're not going to tape it up or bond the mouth, go ahead to cut it out so that it's not going to poke the person, and remove about 1/2 or 1 inch before the stitching or joining line to the lower part of the dress. So it will help reduce the boning from poking the person that is going to wear the dress. So after I'm done passing all my boning, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to hold it down, and I'm going to top stitch with her. So now this is my band and I cut it on fold, and now I'll place it and stitch with 1/2 at the lower part. I'll be placing it at the lower part of my dress. So this is the belt of the dress. This is about 3 inches, so I want the belt at the back to be smaller. I'm going to place and I'm going to top stitch, and I'll be repeating it for 2 sides of my belt. So now the next step is to go ahead to place my band. After top stitching with 1/2 inch, I'll just go ahead to place and stitch it on both sides of my dress. So going over to the back pattern, this is what I have. So I'm not going to iron gum stay on this. I was actually supposed to use air stay on this fabric, but the Duchess I'm using is the lightest, so if I iron air stay on it, it won't really have much stability. So I went ahead to add gum stay in front and at the back to avoid the dress from being too stiff. I won't iron gum stay at the back. I'll go ahead to stitch up this way and also stitch at the back part of the dress. So after I'm done stitching, I'm going to be attaching the belt that I created for this dress at the back. So I'm done stitching. This is what I have for the both sides, and now I'm going to place this way, and I'll be marking out my zipper allowance. I'll mark 1 inch. I'll go ahead and stitch it up. So before I go ahead to stitch, I'm just going to pin it down to avoid it from shifting. So I'm going to take the belt and I'll stitch on this side and repeat on the other side. I'll place and stitch. So now I'm done stitching both the front and the back part of this dress, and it's time to shape my dress. So this is the band, I've attached it, and this is what I have. Now I'll go ahead and introduce the back to it, and I'll be pinning it down on the dress. So after I'm done pinning it down, it is time to impute my measurements. I'm going to place my tape and mark my under bust. After that, I'll place at the under bust and get my bust line, so the lower part will be serving as my waistline. So since I added 1.5 inches to the dress for sewing allowance, all I'm going to do is the 1/2 inch we used for turn up. So at both sides, I'll be marking 1 inch. But going towards the bust, I'm going to take in my hand with about ½ inch so that it's going to be fitted along that part. So after I'm done sewing, this is what I have, and this is what the upper part is looking like. Now we are going to be working on the lower part of the dress. To work on the lower part of the dress, first I'll be cutting out the front part. So my round waist measurement is 28 inches. So that 28 inches, to cut out the front, I will do 28 divided by 14. So I'll be having the front, so my front is 14 and my back is 14, making it 28. So if I want to cut out for the front, that 14 inches, I'm going to put it on fold, meaning 7 inches on fold will give me 14 inches. But because this dress actually has a gathers on the waistline, won't be using the actual waistline, so I'll be using about 20 inches or 25 inches on fold, making it about 40 or 50 inches so that I can gather the waistline. So instead of using my actual waist measurement, I'm going to add like extra 10 or 20 inches to it so that I'm going to have enough fabric to gather at the lower part. Now to get the full length of my dress, I'm going to place my tape at my navel, which is 17, my waist, and I will get the full length of my dress. The full length of my dress is 42 inches plus I'm adding 1 inch for folding allowance. It will be 43 inches. So from that upper part, which is serving at the waist, I'm just going to draw like a slanted line to give it like a flare effect. And now I'll go ahead to cut out this part of my dress. So now, if you're not understanding any part of the tutorial, please leave your question at the comment section. After cutting this, I'm going to go ahead and place another fabric and add a zipper allowance, and I will go ahead to trace out. So this will serve as the back of the dress. And at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and join us in our next video. And don't forget to also subscribe to our second YouTube channel at Draft with Maki. So what I'm going to do right now is to go ahead to slit the zipper allowance. Now at the lower part of this dress, I'm going to be folding it, and at the lower part, which is the back part of the dress, which is the part that has a zip, I'm going to stitch up this part and I'll fold the lower part also. So now, after I'm done folding, the next step I'll also take is to go ahead to fold the waistline to get my original waistline. My original waistline is 28 inches. Divided by 2, I have 14. So for the front part, I'm going to be folding it to 14 inches and I'll be adding 1 inch, making it 15. And for the back, I'll do so and also add my zipper allowance. So moving over to this pattern, remember we cut this out when we were drafting out. This is the one that is going to be on top of the base. That is the lower part of the dress. So now I'll be adding 1 inch to it. So this 1 inch, half will be serving as the joining allowance, and I'll use the other half to just fold it a little, and I'm going to be stitching on it. So I'll go ahead to mark this all through and I will join the line. So after that, the next step I'm going to take is just to go ahead and I will trace this out. So after I'm done tracing out, this is what it is looking like. So right now we're going to create like a bust splitting with this. So this is the front part of my dress. I've gone ahead to fold the lower part, and on the upper part also I gathered the waistline to my original front waistline, just like I said, which is 14 inches, adding half inch for joining, making it 15. So now I'm going to be introducing this pattern or fabric. Here we'll be creating an irregular box split on this. So if there's no measurement to this, it's just to go ahead and create a box split on it. So I'll go ahead and I'll keep pleating till I get to the end, fold, pin, and after folding and pinning, I'm going to go ahead and repeat it to the next part. I'm just going to fold it again and pin. So after folding and pinning, I'm going to repeat this on another part of this dress. That's the next step. Also is to go ahead to also pleat this way and I will pin it down. So after doing this, I'm going to pleat it all through this fabric.
In a private plane, I lamp on it. They call me Bankole. Cause I walk around with the bank on him. Show them Gangnam Style, put the gang on him. Twist my
So after I'm done pleating this is what I have. Now we'll be attaching a lower part on it, but before then I will go ahead to stitch it down. So after stitching it down, this is what I have, and I'll still go ahead to iron this out so that it will look more neat. But before that, I'll measure what I have from here to this lower part. So looking at the dress, you notice that the second flay that they attach to this, or ruffle they attach, is almost closer to the length of the dress. So you're going to measure yours. There's no standard measurement. So after that, I'll measure what I have round this dress. Whatever I have, I will be cutting times 2 or 3 of what I have, depending on how full you want your ruffle to be. So for the total length of my ruffle that I'll be attaching is about 10 inches, and I'll add 1 inch for folding allowance. So this is the lower part of the dress. So I had to join my fabric because it wasn't enough, and at one side I slanted it a little because coming up at this part is a bit lower and the other side is a bit higher. So now I'm just going to gather a gather stitch, and I'll attach it to the lower part of that dress. So moving on, we are going to go over to the back part of this dress. So this is the back part which we have stitched the zipper allowance. So what we are going to do is also to gather this to our waist length, add 1 inch for zipper allowance, and add ½ inch for sewing allowance to join your dress. So this is the dress, and I'm done sewing the ruffle at the lower part. So I'm just going to go ahead to place this on it, and I'm going to join it with ½ inch by the side. I'm going to go ahead and join with ½ inch by this side, and after that I'm going to be joining with ½ inch on the other side also. And make sure that this part, the ruffle part, goes in also. Just make sure that it meets, and you're going to stitch it up. So after I'm done stitching, this is the upper part and this is the lower part of the dress. So what I'm going to do now is just to go ahead to join it. So make sure that the waistline matches the waistline of this also. Then I'm going to place my strip or the sleeve of the dress, place and stitch with ½ inch. So after I'm done joining the hand of the dress, what I'm going to go ahead to do is to stitch up the zipper allowance to add zip to that part, and I'll be showing you the final look of the dress. So this is the final look of the dress. If you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and see you in our next video. Thanks.